friendlies, it's Carolyn and welcome back to my RV life. I've been off the grid for several days, which I like to do from time to time so that I can go and kind of regroup and rebalance. And when I got back this morning, I had learned from many of you who've written to me of the tragic accident of a couple in our community. So I don't know Sean and Caro. I'd never met them and wasn't even aware of their channel, which is called Road Warriors, I think, until I started looking it up this morning after I heard about the accident. For those of you who don't know, a young couple, full of life, vibrant, adventurous. I mean, their videos just kind of broke my heart. They're so happy and free, and just a really tragic accident took Sean's life. And Caro is now in intensive care, I think, or still in critical condition. Maybe not intensive care, but still in critical condition in the hospital. A lot of you wrote to me concerned that I might know them, and a lot of you are in mourning. They are members of our community, and I know that many of you watch their channel. And been thinking about it all day, and even though I don't know them, it really just hit home for me, as I know that it did for a lot of you. And a lot of different thoughts go through your mind when a tragedy like this happens. I don't know how old Sean was. Maybe 30s? Maybe a little older than that? Maybe younger than that? I really don't know. But he looked young and seemed so full of life. And they were on their way to see the eclipse in North Carolina on their scooter. They got rear-ended by a car who didn't see them. Well, in looking at this, because a lot of you had been writing to me and telling me about it, I saw that there's a GoFundMe account for Caro's medical bills, and I contributed, and I thought some of you might want to contribute too. So I'm going to go ahead and put the link to the GoFundMe account in the description of this video. What are they, cicadas? Are really kicking up. So I'm going to put a link to that GoFundMe account if anybody wants to help out with her medical bills. They're probably going to be pretty steep. And it just really hit home for me. I've seen other people in the community create videos and really crying. A lot of people who didn't even know them, like me. But it hits home when one of us, when anyone is tragically taken so quickly and abruptly. But for me, it really just helps me think about life and death. And I saw an interview of a local TV station interviewing one of Sean's friends, and he said something, I'm paraphrasing horribly, but he said something like, I'm sure Sean had no regrets. And I hope that his friends and family and all of those who watched can have some comfort in the fact that he lived his last days, months, whatever it was, doing exactly what he wanted to do. Exactly. And I'm sure that if anyone could ask him, he would say, I have no regrets. And it really hits home for a lot of us who live life to the fullest. And I think many of us who don't wish we had or wish we could, and just thinking about how fragile life can be, and that how none of us ever know when our last day is going to be. I remember a few years ago, several years ago, on my commute home in the afternoon when I was still employed for somebody else, I heard on the news and there was a tragic accident on the Bay Bridge that morning, and somebody died. And I thought about that, and I thought, some father, it was a man, and he was a family man, some father, he had no idea when he left the house that morning and kissed his wife and kids goodbye. Nobody had any idea that was the last time they would ever see him alive. And I think it takes moments like that for us all to realize there are no guarantees of tomorrow. I don't know why I learned that lesson young. I don't know, maybe because part of me never expected me to make it this far in life because of all the things that I have been through. I hear people say that a lot. A lot of addicts and alcoholics say, oh, I never expected to make it to 30, and I never really thought about that. But as someone who has had my share of challenges in life, including suicide attempts when I was much younger, the fact that I'm 50 years old and here, you know, it might be a little surprising. And I know some of you who watch me are really surprised that I have made it this far. But I don't know why. Somewhere, maybe because of all the things that I have been through, and maybe because of all the rabbit holes I've gone through, in my life, and all the demons that I've run from that chased me down rabbit hole after rabbit hole and dark place after dark place, made me realize just how precious the wonderful moments in life are, and how close I have come to falling down and not getting back up. And maybe that's why I have such a passion and a hunger and a thirst for life, and such a hunger to just experience everything, and I mean everything. I have lived my life by the motto, no regrets. Absolutely no regrets. I would rather get to the end of my life and say, at least I tried, than to say I didn't have the time or the energy or the courage or the money, or I was too afraid to try. And this tragic accident is just another reminder that there just are no guarantees. And it reinforces for me the decision that I've made to live this life. Somebody asked me early on when I first started making videos, how do you know this isn't just another phase? How do you know that you're not going to get sick of it in a month and say, or that you're not going to get sick of it in a year and say, oh, that was just another phase of my life? And my answer was, I don't. Maybe it is a phase. Who cares? It's an awesome and adventurous phase, you know? You know, just like God, I almost hesitate to say this because the trolls use it against me, but screw it, it's my life. My meth phase and my alcoholic phase, and many of you know that I have been through a lot of stuff in my life, and it's no secret. So just like my other phases that weren't so healthy, I had a lot of fun times. I'm not going to sit here and pretend they were all bad. I had some pretty fun times. And, you know, there were crazy times were had, let's just say that. And do I regret it? You know, I went through a period where I did. I went through a period where I regretted getting married, and as I put it, wasting 13 years of my life, and I regretted all the bad decisions I'd made. But now I realize that every single one of those things got me to where I am today. And I love my life today. That I think if anything had been different, I probably wouldn't have gotten here. And so, you know, when a tragedy happens like this, some people might be quick to say, see, he shouldn't have done that. See, he shouldn't have been there. See, if he'd had a real job and a house, this wouldn't have happened. And as somebody, you know, and I get it all the time, that, oh, you're putting your life in danger, you're being irresponsible, you're being stupid, you're being mindless. Somebody just accused me the other day of being an adolescent. Thank you. You know, how many 50-year-olds get accused of having so much excitement for life, you know? Thank you. I take that as a compliment. And so when a tragedy like this does happen, there are always people who would say, see, if you had just done it the right way, if you had just had a house, if you'd just done this, if you'd just done that, it wouldn't have happened. If he had just not been on the scooter going that day, then this wouldn't have happened. You know, but I bet if you could ask him if he had any regrets, he'd say no. And I can't speak for him, I can't speak for his family, I can't speak for the tremendous loss that they must be feeling right now, but I bet you anything, they are all finding some comfort in the fact that knowing that he was living his life exactly on his terms. And the same goes for me and a lot of people out here. I think if you ask many of us, would we rather live a long time or live life authentically and fully? And I think we would choose the latter. I know I would. I would much rather live the life I'm knowing, even if that meant I didn't have as many days, than the alternative, which is many, many, many days being cooped up in a house, slowly withering away, really, is what that was for me. For many people thrive living in safety and routine and tradition. But those things just aren't for me, and they aren't for a lot of people. And as many of us mourn today the loss of a life that some of us knew and some of us didn't know, but a life of a thriving, young, adventurous member of our community, I think many of us are going to be reflecting on what life and death means, and what does it mean to us. And I guess the reason I wanted to make this video is because I hope that it gives others the opportunity to look within themselves and to ask, if today were my last day on earth, am I doing what I really want to do? Or am I settling for a life that I think I'm supposed to want? Am I trying to fit a square peg in a round hole? How many years have I been trying to try on this coat of this normal life that doesn't fit me? And when are you going to say enough? It doesn't fit, and walk into something that does? I guess the thought I want to leave you with today is, if you knew that you only had a year to live, would you be doing the same thing you're doing now? Or would you do something different? And if the answer is you would do something different, why? I know a lot of people have a lot of different reasons for not pursuing their bucket list, their goals, their dreams. There's a lot of responsibility, debt. I mean, there's just a million different things that prevent people. Fear. I hope fear, though, isn't one of them. I hope that by watching me and by watching others live as fearlessly as we can, to dare to buck the tradition and to dare to buck the system and society and all the norms and all the things that we're told we're supposed to be, I hope that you can gain some inspiration and tap into your own strength and your own desire to be free, to live your life authentically. It's a heavy day. So it is a tragedy that someone so full of life was just ripped from this earth. And I know many of you are mourning. And again, I hope that you can find peace and solace in knowing that he was living his life exactly as he wanted to live. And for the rest of you, if you knew you had a year to live, what would you do? Would you do something different? Or would you live the exact same life that you're living? Leave your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if your answer is that you would do something different, I hope that you can start questioning why you're not doing that. Life is short and there are no guarantees. Ask those guys. I don't know if you can see behind me. I just happen to be next to a cemetery. Some Civil War soldiers in that cemetery behind me. Okay, I guess that's my real talk for today. Just something to think about, life and death, and how short and how precious life is. And don't forget to check out the link in my description of this video if you want to contribute to Caro's hospital fund, the GoFundMe account. The link is in there. And until next time, I hope that every one of you will be happy, be free, and be kind. I'll see you down the road. Hey, puppy. What do you think?